Hey guys, this is Justin, your guide into the other side. Today I want to talk about sediment fragments as it pertains to, Kodamara evolution. Hey, I want to be a farmer. I want to maybe, buy, sell, trade things on the Agora marketplace, with regards to sediments, resources, etc. And maybe I want to take a look at finding the best place to find that perfect other deed to build towards a specific playstyle, right? So, first of all, this is not financial advice. I can't necessarily tell you whether the price is going up or down for other deeds or not. What's good resources. This is kind of more of a gameplay analysis video. To figure out how not get bottlenecked in Legends of the Mara. So, with that out of the way, let's just kind of jump right in. So, sediment fragments are important mainly because they can be fed to Maras. I kind of covered this in my previous video. You can allocate Genesis Kodas or farmers to harvest them essentially. And your traits, when you evolve them into Kodamaras, are affected when you feed the fragments to your Mara. So we have five. We have the basically the sediment for sandwich here. We have the biogenic swamp. So obviously looking pretty cool. We have chemical goo as well, looking pretty very interesting. And then we also have the lower three sediments as well. Rainbow Atmos, Cosmic Dream, Infinite Expanse. They're going to affect the way that our Kodamaras evolve. So, granted, I'm pretty of the opinion that, form is tied to function. I would think that the higher sediment types, they do command a premium on the market. I think they might have more powerful effects when you feed them into your Kodamara. But we don't know that for sure. So I can't say for sure. But let's just kind of jump right into, in addition to evolving your Kodamaras, your sediment type on your other deed does determine kind of where it is locationally in the other side, right? So biogenic swamps are obviously in the center. You can also use I'm actually using the Otherside Wiki, Otherside map, mainly because I find it a really useful resource to, figure out where all these things are. Chemical goo, it's that layer right outside of the biogenic swamp. Cosmic Dream is also interesting, mainly because, it's that center portion of the galaxy, the center ring, the middle ring. Sorry, not the anyways, it's the outside and the middle ring of the galaxy. And then we also have the Infinite Expanse, so that's just kind of the one right outside that. And then the Rainbow Atmos is the second to last layer outside of that. So if you care about the location, then the sediment type will affect that. So, but you can just take a look at the other side map if you do care about that. So I do want to cover the Yuga Labs News Gaming blog. So as environment tiers affect your other deed, the sediment tier does matter for production as well, right? So the higher your sediment tier, the more sediment fragments your other deed will produce, right? So if you're looking to be a farmer, the higher the sediment type, the greater advantage you'll have with regards to pulling them and being able to get as much production to, I guess, put them on buy, sell, trade marketplace, maybe for the coming Agora. We don't know, but we'll see. So a farmer on an other deed expanded enables fragment harvest, and additional farmers and enchanters enhance your production, right? So, if you're looking to go full farmer build, obviously tier 3 and up is probably going to provide you better value with regards to not getting bottlenecked to, I guess, allocate a farmer towards sediment fragments or resources, either one. So, regardless of the production, though, your native sediment will always produce the same type of fragment. So more soon. You can kind of see that, basic breakdown of your sediment fragments from the gaming blog as well. Nothing that we didn't already cover. So I do want to scroll down to the sediment farming versus Battle Shattered section here. So why farm sediment? I covered this in my previous video, but it's always good to go over it again. The recipe for farming or producing the rarest of Kodamaras is up to the community to discover over time, right? Season 1 is going to be that race to find the best Kodamaras, and if you're farming, you're definitely going to want to have sediments to, I guess, maybe put on market, to buy, I guess, trade to get other things inside of the other side. Definitely going to be interesting to see how that mechanic works out, how that marketplace plays out over time. But again, Kodamara Evolution is going to be really varied. There's going to be a bunch of seasonal catalysts that haven't been revealed yet. We don't necessarily know everything about those. We just kind of know what they look like. We have sediment fragments, which we do know about. We do know a lot about their production. We don't know what they're going to do. And then we also have Mara. So there's going to be a large combination pool that people can discover over time, right? But additionally, there's a really important mechanic here about global capped supply of sediment fragments. So what that means is that when voyagers gather or farm the sediment, the capped supply, the supply of available farm sediment goes down, right? So the yield on your Otherdeed decreases as more, if there's a crap load of people farming sediments, then the yield per sediment tier will decrease globally over time. So I know that's a little bit of a confusing concept, but I'm sure more, and I guess someone will be able to explain this better in the comments, I'm sure. But not to fear, once voyagers do combine their sediment fragments with their maras, these fragments are returned to the global supply. So there is a production-consumption relationship for sediment fragments that you will want to keep an eye on if you are a farmer. So you will want to have some exposure to resources as well, and I'll get on that later. So basically, in this way, the amount of sediment fragments a voyager can collect in a given period on a specific Otherdeed varies based off global activity, which effectively increases the strategic skills you'll need to employ to evolve their Mars for peak performance. So, basically it kind of determines the risk-reward playstyle that a lot of people have. So if there's a lot of farmers farming the sediment type, and there's a low supply, in the reward pool, then it's going to be less rewarding to play as farming, right? But if there's not that many farmers, then it may be more rewarding to do that. But that's totally up in the clouds. Like, I have no idea. Let's just kind of jump over to the Otherside Wiki as a whole, right? So, we have 33 days until the end of the summer. A lot of you guys are looking to pick up an Otherdeed, find that perfect Otherdeed, pick your specific playstyle, whether that's tier 1, you already got a Coda, you're trying to, get onto the leaderboard as fast as possible. Hey, maybe you're playing tier 2, playing that entry-level budget build. I actually picked up a tier 2. I'll go over that later. There's also tier 3, which is nice mid-range, and then I do think tier 3 up to tier 5 provides that best value for farmers, people who are looking for bandwidth execution over time. There's a lot of operations that the worker slots are really important, and to utilize them effectively, as a farmer, I guess you're going to want to have as much access as possible. So let's just jump right into the Otherside Wiki, the key to your Otherside metaverse, right? So I actually like to take a look at the Otherdeed filter here, mainly because this guy kind of gives you a really good breakdown of everything you really need to know. Probably better than, Blur, Gem, OpenSea. It's better because it's all about Otherside. You're not worried about like the trading mechanism. You're not worried about the price necessarily too much. This is all about sediments, environment types, resources, artifact codas, and obelisk pieces. And I think Otherside Wiki is just superior overall. Because it's for Otherside play, and it directly links to everything that you really need to know about sediment types, environments, resources, etc. And over time, I do think that as we know more about Kodamara evolutions, what sediments do, what fragments do, what all the resources do, and all the crafting, that the wiki will open up to the community to be built out, right? And that's not something that can be gained by say Blur or Gem or OpenSea, etc., right? So this is where I look for Otherdeeds, and I think this is probably a good resources for you as well. So let's just say I want to be a high tier farming builder, right? High tier farmer that wants to get a lot of that wants to engage in the buy sell trade function of the Agora when that does launch. Not financial advice, of course, but we're just going to try to take a look at the best Otherdeeds to filter through, so then we don't get bottlenecked by our sediment type or our worker slots, right? So obviously, I can't tell you necessarily what's good for sediment types. Obviously, the higher the sediment type, it'll command a premium. So I'm just gonna keep this via the sediment tier. So the sediment tier determines your production. So I'm going to exclude sediment tier 1 because as a farmer, you're going to want to be as fast as you're going to want to have as much production as possible, right? And then as a farmer, you'll also very likely want to prefer higher tiers because those will allow you a lot more access to resources and, allocating a farmer towards resources, allocating a farmer towards your sediment type, right? So you can see everything you need to know about your filter types up at the very top. So it's only going to show you tier 2 and tier 3. It's only going to show you environment tier 4 and tier 5. So the sediment tiers are good, the environment tiers are good. I do want to show you that, hey, you can see the price up here, the location of where you can purchase it, the number, whether to expand it or not. And what's more important about Otherside Wiki and the way it displays your other deeds for sale on the market is that you can easily see what traits it has right from the get-go, so you can easily compare. It's super difficult on Gem or OpenSea. Maybe I'm just blind, but I find this layout much, much better. So overall, if I'm to evaluate this, I'm going to look for a deed that has preferably 2 resources. I can't really go over the resource filter because there's a lot to choose from. It gets convoluted really quickly, and I would say that's towards more power users that are looking for specific resources rather than an overarching first deed look. So I'm going to avoid that because that's going to extend the video by like 60 minutes. So initially, I'm just going to ignore this one. I'm probably going to ignore this one, but again, I do want to bring to your attention, if you do see a coda on there and it does say expanded, it just may need to be updated. So if it's already expanded, the coda is already in the other collection, so don't worry about that. Just totally ignore that if it has. I'm just covering that. So basically, all these 3 at the very bottom are kind of the same price. It's listed from cheapest at the very top to more expensive as you scroll down, and it can get expensive very, very quickly, right? But as it gets more expensive, you're paying a premium for premium types of traits, right? Like, for example, this one is 0.484 ETH on Blur for Spikeweed, Bonestone, and Luster, so you do have a lot of access to resources at a tier 5 environment. So you could, as a farmer, maybe justify that cost and allocate 3 farmers towards the Spikeweed, Bonestone, and Luster, while still allocating the other 2 towards the Cosmic Dream sediment production, right? But I like to keep things relatively simple. I like to keep things close to floor price. So I'm just going to take a look at what's close to floor without paying too much of a premium, because I like to look at value specifically. So out of these bottom ones, I kind of see the 2 that are really interesting to me are the one that necessarily has a chemical goo sediment, but it only has 1 luster, and it looks like it's tier 2. But this one here, it looks like it actually has 2 resources, so that's better resource access. And as I referenced before, there is a as that cap supply of sediment fragments becomes more apparent over time, as more people farm more sediment fragments, your access to resources is probably going to mitigate that when that eventually comes into play. I don't know how to explain that too much, but it's always good to have more resources, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this one, and this will give you a good breakdown of sediments, environments. This will show you in depth, like, hey, Lumaleaf tier 2. You can see the resources from north, east, south, and west. You can also see whether it has a coda, an artifact, or an obelisk piece. But basically, what I do like immediately off the outset is that when you click on sediment type, you can go straight to the sediment types. And I'm sure as we know more, the wiki will expand from the community about what these are, what you can use these for. How you can better evolve your Kodamara. But initially, right now, we just kind of have, hey, this is how many there are. This is the ID range. This is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. How many of them there are per tier, etc., etc. So, oops, let me go back to the page here. But you can also click on environment, and this will actually show you your environment specifically to the other D that you choose. So you can kind of see, hey, this is what tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, up to tier 5, what they look like aesthetically. And you have a big breakdown of your last sales, your lowest listings, and stuff like exclusive resources, etc., etc., the distribution of sediments and tier types. But I don't want to go too deep into that, but what I like about this is that as a collector, as a gamer, as someone who's looking to play at a high level, this is probably something that's more important to you if you're looking to play Legends of the Mara. So right off the bat, I do want to give you a breakdown of like the pricing here. So there is a fair value price calculator here. It's not the most accurate. It just kind of gives you a dynamic estimate based off of the weighted averages for each trait. I'm sure that'll calibrate and get better over time. We can also see this floor. If you click on this floor piece here, this kind of gives you the floor trait prices. So it gives you the most valid. It shows you the floor price for each particular trait of your Otherdeed. And I know these all look the same right now, but let's just say you had the 1/1 Eternitum sword on your deed, right? You wouldn't want to floor if you were looking to sell it, you wouldn't want to floor the price at 0.37 because you'd basically lose a lot of value. But that using this floor trade, the calculator would see that and probably price it higher, so that kind of keeps the floor price, kind of gives you a good estimate based relative to the rest of the market. So I think I'll get too caught in the weeds if I try to explain that. Definitely more big brain developer Frosty could probably explain that better than me. You can always find him in the Discord. But basically, we have a Grail score here as well. I don't necessarily know how to explain this, so I'm definitely not going to do that. But you can kind of see where it's located in the marketplace. This is on LooksRare for 0.366 ETH. It's also on Blur for whatever. But overall, I've just kind of gone over, hey, if you're looking at that farmer, I kind of picked this as like a high tier farmer build, mainly because, with environment tier 4, you can allocate 2 farmers to, the Lumaleaf, the tier 2 Lumaleaf and the tier 1 Kinsoul, and you can allocate the other 2 farmers towards farming the Cosmic Dreams, so then you can interact with the marketplace. But otherwise, that essentially would give you a good breakdown between, exposure to resources and exposure to sediment when the time comes for players to evolve their Kodamaras, build structures in the future. So overall, you'd be able to accumulate a lot of resources. I don't know how much over time. So overall, I hope this overview of the Otherside Wiki has been useful to you. Definitely with regards to the traits of your Otherdeeds, where you can find them, the fair value price, stuff like that. I do want to kind of recap. Yeah, we kind of gone over the sediment sandwich. The location. Based off your sediment that you choose if you're looking for your first Otherdeed, as well as the relationship between the global capped supply of sediment fragments and farmers, and the yield curve, whatever. But overall, just to recap everything, the Otherside Wiki is the best place to find anything you want to know about the Otherside outside of the official links. But definitely join us in the Discord server. I am always there for you there. So is Frosty. I'm sure he's way bigger big brain than I am. But that's all I got for you today. Definitely hit that like and subscribe button if you found anything in this video interesting. But it always helps me create more content. Definitely. Definitely hit me up with the comment as well if you found, if I have anything wrong or stuff like that. But yeah, you can also catch me on Twitter. I do a lot of weekly threads or with regards to anything important on the other side and recent news. But hey, that's all I got for you today. I'm gonna sign off and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.